Hi, welcome to Transfer After Columbus State. My name is Mary Witt, and I'm the coordinator for Transfer and Articulation, and I manage the University Transfer Center here at Columbus State. I've been with Columbus State for about 20 years, and both of my children, fun fact, actually attend Columbus State as well. So let's get started. We're going to start out the presentation by talking about the transfer process. These are all tasks you should be doing while you're here at Columbus State. The first step is to decide on a major and a transfer destination. We're going to be talking more about that in this presentation, but that's the first thing you can be doing, and you can even start doing that before you start your classes here. The second and third steps are designed, or really my hope is that you do them both together at least a few times while you're here at Columbus State. That would be to complete your courses with the advice of a Columbus State academic advisor and connect with advisors from your transfer destination. If you do that once, great. If you do it every semester as you register, even better. The point to doing them both together is that you close that circle of information. You get all of the information you need on Columbus State courses and resources, and you combine that with the information about the transfer process, about application, about your major, about courses to choose, all of those things for your transfer destination. So you are totally prepared for steps 4 and 5, which is apply for admission and financial aid by the stated deadlines for the institution that you're seeking to transfer to, and step 5, knowing what to do after that process. So when you're accepted, going to transfer orientation, registering for your first semester, choosing housing, getting a job, finishing up your funding, anything you need to do. So if you've done steps 2 and 3, it makes steps 4 and 5 a lot easier and pretty seamless, hopefully. So like I said, we're going to start out with the first step. What should you do here at Columbus State? So there are really 4 options. We're going to talk about the pathway next. So we're going to talk about each option in more detail. But these are the 4 biggest ones. You can do an Associate of Arts or Associate of Science in a major, which for the most part are also our Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathways, meaning that when you complete courses here as we list them in our major plan of study, they will be accepted at any Ohio public university. And there are also about anywhere from 10 to 20 private universities that will take some of those plans of study as well in the same way that a state university does, just really plug and play. There's also the General Associate of Arts or Associate of Science, and students who pursue the General AA or the General AS are really looking at majors and programs that we don't have equivalents for here at Columbus State. So things like music education, physics education, journalism and communication. We have a communications AA, so a lot of times that plugs in well with journalism. But some more specialized journalism like public relations or magazine writing or things like that, a general AA is just as good as trying to fit in a specific program. There's also the Associate of Applied Science, which is a degree that's technically designed to prepare you to enter work, not necessarily prepare you for transfer, but we'll be talking about that here in a second. And then finally at the back, just take classes and leave. So you're just taking classes here just to get started. You're not really planning on earning a degree or so forth. And we'll talk about that as well in this presentation. So next up is talking about the pathway. How do our degrees and programs fit together with the bachelor's degree? There's always a little bit of confusion with that, so I'd like to clear that up as much as I can in this presentation. The Associate of Arts and Associate of Science degrees, either with a major or without a major, are designed to replicate the bachelor's degree. So they're designed to replicate those first 2 years. So you're taking classes the same way your friends are taking classes in those same degree programs at their 4-year colleges and universities. So, they're spread out the same way, they're distributed the same way. You do your general education, you do your major and major prep courses, and then you do your support courses and electives, just like you would be doing, at a four-year university. So there's not a whole lot of difference just in location. The Associate of Applied Science is a little different because, again, it's designed to prepare you to enter the workforce. So those courses and those plans of studies are going to look a lot different because you're really going to focus on your major. You're not going to do so much general education. The support courses you take are there to support your major. So in nursing, you're going to be taking anatomy and physiology versus engineering technology, where you'll be taking physics and mathematics. And those classes, again, all designed to prepare you to enter the workforce. However, with that being said, all 3 degree programs do have a bachelor's degree option. And when you continue on for the Associate of Arts and Associate of Science, you really just finish up those 3rd and 4th years. You finish up your major, you have time to do a minor or a double major, go to graduate school, not go to graduate school, but prepare to enter graduate school or professional school like medical school or law school. So you just really continue what you've been doing the first 2 years for the second 2 years at that upper division or junior senior level. For the Associate of Applied Science, those bachelor's degree programs are often called completion programs because those programs are designed to wrap around the classes and the learning that you took here. So the best example or the easy example of this is the nursing pathway. So here at Columbus State, you do the Associate of Applied Science in Nursing. You're eligible to become a registered nurse. And then once you become a registered nurse, you can then go on and do the RN to Bachelor of Science in Nursing completion degree. And that degree, what it does is it gives you all the nursing coursework that bachelor's degree students take minus the clinical coursework. Because believe it or not, you do all the clinical coursework, all the general education related to nursing, like all those sciences here at Columbus State. So what you're doing at that bachelor's degree level is you're taking nursing leadership, nursing research, nursing theory. You're taking other general education courses, like at the junior senior level that they require bachelor's degree recipients at that school to have. So you're wrapping that learning around what you've already learned at Columbus State to really expand your potential and your career opportunities in that field. So you're really continuing on in that field. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, talking about that big dog in the back, for students who want to leave before they earn a degree, I do like to discuss this because I think there's things that students need to know before they decide to leave Columbus State before earning the degree related to the transfer admissions process. So I call that an exit point. So if you're looking on your screen, you see a traffic light and a caution cone, and they're colored just like they are in real life. So let's start out the caution cone in the corner. When we're talking about the transfer admissions process, so the admissions process you're going to go through after starting at Columbus State. So you're starting at one institution after high school graduation, and you're planning to transfer to another later on. So that's the transfer admissions process. In that transfer admissions process, any college credit that you earned while in high school is not going to be used to determine your admissions process or outcome. Okay, so all of that credit that you earn through AP or IB or College Credit Plus or dual enrollment or whatever it was is going to be put away, so to speak, like electronically. Like we're just going to ignore it for the time being. You're going to go through the transfer admissions process. Everything's going to happen. You'll either be accepted or not accepted. If you're accepted, at that point, wherever they put that credit away in a proverbial envelope or box or whatever, they're going to open that up, and then all of that credit is going to be released, and then it's going to be evaluated and applied to your new record at that new institution where appropriate. So it's not that they're never going to use it. It's not a waste. They're never going to not look at it. It's just in this particular process, they're just going to put it to the side and really only focus on what you've done after high school. So if you choose to leave Columbus State in your first semester with less than 15 credit hours completed, why is that in red? It's in red because we want you to stop and think about what you're doing and how that process is going to work for you. When you apply in your first semester or with less than one semester completed, colleges and universities are going to treat you as if you were just graduating from high school. So they're going to ask you for all the same materials that they ask graduating high school seniors to provide for the most part. So your high school transcript, your standardized test scores. They're not going to look at what you're taking here, mostly because they can't, because you're in your first semester, so you don't have grades yet. So they're going to critique your high school transcript just like they would have done when you were graduating from high school. So they're going to do all of those things. And they're also going to use the evaluation scheme or method that they use for graduating high school seniors. So you've heard lots of talk maybe about holistic evaluation. That's what happens for students graduating from high school. They're still going to do that same process with you at that point. So if you're looking to get into a college or university that you couldn't get into based on your high school record and you're trying to apply during your first semester, just know that you might have some difficulty and the outcome might be the same as it was when you tried to enter from high school. Because again, they're using all the same data that they used before to make that decision. Then as you move on and you earn more credit here at Columbus State, about 15 to 30 credit hours graded, transcripted following high school graduation, that is in yellow, which means caution. As you move through that time period for you in earning that credit, it becomes more reliant on your college record than on your high school record. So a lot of colleges may look at your high school record once you have one full semester completed, but they're also going to be looking at that college record as well. And so as you move along between 15 to 30 hours, it really kind of changes a bit where they go from looking mostly at high school to looking primarily at college. And then once you've earned that 30th credit hour up until your degree, so 61 credit hours, 2 semesters post-high school up to graduation, really green means go. And at that point, they're really looking at you as a college student. So they're only going to use your collegiate record, the record you earned after high school graduation, to determine whether or not you're admissible to the university. And the applications process becomes very simplistic and a lot more transparent. So for the most part, at colleges and universities, they say, if you earn this particular GPA with this amount of credits earned, you are accepted to the university. So you may not be accepted to the major that you want. That may have a separate process, but at least getting into the university becomes much more straightforward. Now, talking a little bit about transfer of credit in your GPA. There are some things that you need to know about this process and things you need to focus on versus what people think you need to focus on. So everybody is always focused on transferability. Are my credits going to transfer? And the really, really strict definition of transfer is just transferring your academic record from one institution to the next. Okay, so it just means we're going to take your credits that you've earned, we're going to put them in our terms and in our record. So for the most part, all of the credits you earn here at Columbus State are transferable, meaning they will go from your Columbus State record to the new college record. There are some exceptions listed on the screen, and those are typically the classes that don't make it from place to place. However, the more important thing you should be mindful of in this whole process is applicability, okay? Applicability means how your classes apply to individual degree requirements at your four-year college or university. So you want to major in English. How are the credits that you've earned here in the Associate of Arts in English going to apply to that next university in their bachelor's degree in English? Do they apply at the major? Do they apply for general education? Do they apply for a minor? Maybe you took a lot of elective courses here in hopes of getting, a minor. Maybe they apply for electives. So the point is you want the courses you take here to apply to individual degree requirements at your next institution, because that is really what's going to propel you forward in that degree progression. So it's very easy to accrue enough credits to be considered like a junior, or to be considered to have half of your degree, bachelor's degree finished. But if all of those credits aren't applying in a requirement or where they need to go, you really don't have that true progression that you need to then finish up in 2 years when you transfer. So it's very important that when you're talking to advisors, when you're talking to representatives from the institutions you want to transfer to, that you always ask about, hey, I'm doing this degree at Columbus State. How is it applicable to the degree I want at your institution? I'm taking these classes. How do they apply? In very, very minimal cases, our partners aren't able to give you that information. But for the most part, all of the partners that we work with in transfer are able to provide our students with at least preliminary evaluations to know what they're doing here and how it's going to apply at their next institution. And then just finishing up this slide talking about grade point average. Your grade point average, or GPA, is used in admissions decisions. So therefore, it's used to determine whether or not you're going to get into that university. So whatever GPA you earn will determine how you're admissible, especially if you stay for at least 30 credit hours. You should also know that that GPA may be used to get you into your major or school or whatever program of choice that you want. A lot of the more popular majors and programs at four-year institutions, especially larger public universities, are competitive or selective, which means that there's a threshold, and it's usually determined on a GPA that you have to meet or exceed in order to get into that major or program. Competitive admission means there's still a threshold, but you may need higher than that threshold, and you have to compete against other students to be accepted into that major. So it's important that you understand that piece and not really blow off what you're doing here at Columbus State. However, once you do transfer and enroll at that next institution, your GPA does start over. Students are always concerned when they're talking about transfer from Columbus State about where to go. Normally, in a non-virtual space, I would be asking, hey, how many people want to go out of state? Since I can't do that here, I'm going to talk a little bit about each option. So Columbus State, if you don't know, is a public community college in the state of Ohio system. So we report to the state of Ohio. And therefore, because of that, we are most responsible, or our biggest responsibility is to our state universities here in Ohio. We have the Ohio Transfer to Degree Guarantee. We have the Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathway. We have the Ohio Transfer 36. We have the Ohio Transfer Promise. So we are bound by state law, and there is actually a state law governing credit transfer and the way colleges and universities relate to each other in Ohio in the public system. We are responsible to follow that law. So we have a lot of information sharing, a lot of data sharing. Our advisors are pretty, familiar with our state programs. And then going along with that, we have a lot of partners that we work with separately from the state system. So like Capital, Ohio Wesleyan, Baldwin Wallace, Malone, Defiance, Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science, Otterbein College. And with all of these colleges, we've worked very hard to cultivate relationships that are very similar to the types of relationships we have with state universities, and trying to kind of give you the same assurances and policies that we follow with state institutions with our private university and out-of-state partners. However, our credits will transfer to any state, public or private university in the United States. It's just going to look a little different if you choose to go to someplace like the University of Texas or any of the University of California's or a private university in New York. It's going to look different because we're not going to have as much information, and obviously we're not going to have a true partnership with every college or university in the United States. So what I tell students thinking about leaving Ohio after graduation and going to a non-partner university is that you keep all of the information you have about all of the courses you've taken here, which typically means course syllabi, to print all of those out or keep those in a separate electronic file on your laptop or whatever, and taking all those with you, as well as any advising information that you received. Now, what are the transfer resources that we have here at Columbus State? So here at Columbus State, you've probably already heard about the preferred pathway, which are 9 college and university partners that we work the closest with in transfer. And as you can see, if you know where the majority of these 9 colleges and universities are, you know that they're located here in the Central Ohio area. So obviously, these are all places that we've worked with very closely, not so much even related to like our content, but also geography. So we're always going to work with places that our students want to go. But with that being said, again, we have about 20 to 30 university partners we work with across the state, public and private, and also university partners out of state that serve our students in a variety of ways. Students connect with these preferred and university partners through either our college and university visitation program or through our transfer programs that we have, like transfer fair, destination days, or one-off programs that we might have in person or virtually. So each year, I'd say we have about 65 to 70 different colleges or universities that come to campus, either through the visitation program or through other transfer programs, to meet with our students either here on the Columbus campus or on the Delaware campus. So lots of opportunities for students to get their questions answered. We also maintain an extensive transfer website that has a lot of good virtual contact information for students to reach out to college and universities virtually, as well as get their questions answered regarding transfers. So we have a really extensive FAQ. We have a lot of recorded programs on our website, as well as all of our transfer graduation plans, which are plans that outline courses that you take in our majors and programs, and then courses that you would take at that four-year college or university to finish up your degree, as well as any other information you would need to know about that major or program at that institution. We have over 400 of these plans. Several majors have more than one plan going to different institutions, so it's worth it to check out. But there's opportunity to transfer for all of our programs here at Columbus State. And then finally, I'd like to wrap up the presentation by talking about paying for it. I tell students all the time that the only thing I can guarantee in the transfer process is that the cost of your associate's degree is going to be less than the cost of your bachelor's degree. So therefore, you need to kind of plan and prepare for that inevitability. There's lots of conversations going out right now in the larger, community and society about the value of a college education, paying back student loans, how that works, and, just a lot of things going on. So I think it's important to have this conversation right now as you start your journey in college. So a couple of them are pretty obvious. Complete your free application for federal student aid. That is the way that a lot of colleges and universities not only determine if you're eligible for federal student aid programs, but also if you're eligible for any additional programs or scholarships that are available through those institutions based on financial need. So They would be private grants and scholarships that those colleges and universities will be providing. That typically happens in the private university space, but it is there. And then the other obvious one is research all of your funding opportunities and take advantage of any alternatives you find for funding, like tuition remission, or maybe some programs through your parents' employers if you're lucky enough to have that, or even through your own employer. Just asking, is there any sort of tuition reimbursement or anything else that I can take advantage of? One thing you want to look out for are tuition restricted programs. Building up tuition restricted programs up to the cost of tuition, totally beneficial. But if you need that additional funding for books or living or just life in general, you want to make sure you're looking at funding opportunities that are unrestricted and will allow you to use those funds for other purposes. Finally, in the middle, that's the biggest one I like to focus on because I think it pays off the most in transfer, is when you focus on your academics and GPA here at Columbus State, you will likely be rewarded in transfer with merit scholarships when you choose to leave. So, for example, if you have a 2.5 GPA or higher and you graduate with your degree here at Columbus State, you are eligible for a half tuition or a $20,000 scholarship at Capital University right off for a 2.5. Not an unattainable GPA for most of our students. A lot of our other private partners have similar programs for our graduates, or they have financial incentives for our graduates to make their overall cost of attendance more affordable. A lot of our non-partners, a lot of our state partners will offer merit scholarships for our highest performing students because they know students who do well here at Columbus State are also going to do well at their colleges or universities, so they want to reward you for that. And then by researching those programs and knowing those academic cutoffs that you need for those different merit scholarship opportunities, you can begin to make a financial plan. Especially if you want to focus on really any institution, public or private, it is important to think about what you're going to be able to afford and how you want your university kind of program to finish up. A lot of students like the freedom and flexibility of taking classes part-time and being able to pay for those classes as they come. And that's great. You totally can do that. And there are a lot of programs that operate on a per credit hour basis. However, there are other programs that you need to be full-time to get that funding. And so that's where optimizing your time and course schedule come into play. So if you know that you want to go to a private university and you need a 3.7 GPA, for example, to get the best scholarship you can get, you know while you're here that you really need to focus on your grades. And if your grades fall or slip, you can do things to get them back on track by knowing that ahead of time. And then also, if you know that you want those high-flying scholarship opportunities and you've begun to make a financial and academic plan for it, therefore you can also optimize your time and course schedule by doing what you need to do here at Columbus State to make it possible for when you go to that next institution, you can be done within a couple of years. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you for joining me. If you do have any questions, you can utilize the email address below at transferinfo@cscc.edu. Thanks and good luck. Have a good day.